Yes guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel, Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. I hope you're doing well, friend. I really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea news, of which there is some. We are talking about today Emma Hayes and the Chelsea women, their really frustrating result against Real Madrid in the Champions League last night. Chelsea have appointed a new revenue officer. Could be a really good move. And also, David Ornstein has spoken on Sky Sports about Chelsea's investigation from the Roman Abramovich era, a story that I spoke about yesterday. Shout out to CFC Daily for sharing this information on Twitter, but also I want to shout him out for an opinion he had that I'm going to go into as well. So thank you for joining me. Some really interesting stuff that I want to get into today regarding what's been happening with Chelsea in the background and perhaps why we've been viewing this whole ownership transition a little bit maybe wrong or unfairly, at least some people. So strap yourselves in, it's going to be a good video. Stay to the end and find out everything I have to say. You're welcome to subscribe, hit the bell if you do. Thank you for liking the video, and let's get into it. Alright, just a shout out first for the Chelsea women. Real Madrid 2, Chelsea 2 in the Champions League away at Madrid. Really frustrating. Emma Hayes says we were robbed of a 3-1 win, and she is completely right. The final goal that was scored, there was absolutely nothing wrong with it. There's no sort of nudge there. It's just if VAR was in this game, right, we would have had that extra goal, and they would not have had that penalty. The tackle was outside of the box, and and basically it should Emma Hayes sounds like it could be sour grapes here, but it's not. For those of you who watch the Chelsea women, you'll know it should have been a 3-1 win. She handled it really well at full time. She shook hands and went off, but she in her head was percolating, this is ruddy nonsense, and she's right. But shout out to a dominant performance from the Chelsea women there. Very frustrating indeed. Right, before we get into the sort of big talking point of today's video of what's happening with this investigation and how Chelsea have been prepared for a long time, let's talk about what Chelsea have announced themselves. They have appointed Chief Revenue Officer Kasper Stylsvig. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Stylsvig. So it could be Stylsvig or Stylsvig as the Chief Revenue Officer. I'll read Chelsea's announcement. We can talk about that briefly as well. Stylsvig joins Chelsea having held the same role at Milan since 2019. In his time at Milan, he oversaw the club's commercial transformation and return to profitability. Now, this is really interesting, because if you remember before 2019, Milan were an incredibly weird team. They were buying loads of players they couldn't afford. They were like a whole new squad. They were like a bit of a crisis club financially, and it was like kind of a sad thing to see for such a massive household name in European football, European Cups and just a iconic club really. And obviously they've since won Scudetto and got to a semi-final of a Champions League. And, just 4 years ago, before Stylsvig was appointed, they were, in a really bad place. And now they've returned to a powerhouse. Now, I'm not going to suggest for a second that the Chief Revenue Officer is the reason why they became a sporting force again, but to a financial transformation and return to profitability. This might kind of go with what the Athletic's Liam Twomey calls Chelsea's ownership hiring the best in class. And they've been assessing European and indeed global football when it turns to players, but European football when it comes to staff. And they've seen this guy and they thought, right, well, this guy's super good. We're rebuilding Chelsea. We want the best of people we can get. Bring him in, Stylsvig. Come on down, Kasper. He said this, quote, I'm delighted to be joining Chelsea at a hugely exciting time for the club. I'm looking forward to working with talented colleagues as part of the world-class team that has been built at Chelsea. So he's saying it's been built, we're done, we've got the Avengers together, now it's time to put in the work. So Chelsea FC CEO Chris Jurassic also commented on this, quote, Kasper is a great addition to our leadership team, bringing extensive commercial and football experience to his role. I'm pleased to welcome him to Chelsea. Smart things indeed. Prior to being at Milan, Stilsvig spent 3 years at Fulham. So he knows the area. Chief Revenue Officer, and 8 years at Manchester United's Global Sponsorship Director as the Global Sponsorship Director, having started his career at football at FC Barcelona. Bam! It checks out to me. We know Manchester United sponsors and commercial deals have been good. They make hella money. We know Barcelona is a big club, and he would have left long before their financial ruin came. He knows Fulham well, and he's done excellent work at Milan. Look, I'm not qualified to say whether this is good or not, but on the surface, from reading, the basic elements of this, I'm very pleased with this appointment. And you know what, Chelsea? I'll sign it off. And that's what, let's be real, that's what they've been waiting for. Done. Alright, that sounds good. I mean, Emma Hayes being robbed of a win, bad. But, this, good. Pretty pleased with that. Right, let's talk about what David Ornstein has said, a little bit more serious. Again, I'm getting this news from aggregation account, or aggregator, SCFC Daily. Season ticket holder, good Twitter account. I'm not active on Twitter, but now and again I check the tweets of people like this. He said this: Chelsea's new owners held back £100 million from the sale ahead of this current investigation. The Premier League can go back as far as they want, unlike UEFA. So this is David Ornstein, head honcho at The Athletic, speaking on Sky Sports. Now, David Ornstein, he speaks truth, he spits facts, he doesn't work in rumours, so for me, he's top of the tree, Orny. So this is legitimate. £100 million held back, so that means the ownership came into this situation, as in buying Chelsea, the Roman Abramovich thing, with their eyes open. Now, this next sort of opinion and comment was inspired also by CFC Daily, but I do want to talk about it because Boehly, Clearlake were heavily criticised for a bunch of stuff, and some of it is totally justified, and they probably themselves would admit as much, in what is a difficult and turbulent thing, buying your first football club. So yeah, I mean, there's gotta be a bit of that. But they were heavily criticised for absolutely sweeping the decks of everything Roman Abramovich that came before them. Now, I was okay with that, because I was like, yeah, this is like what you do, when you take over a business, you want to get your own people in, and you want to rebuild. And I've kind of been quite vocal with how I didn't like the Chelsea board before, because I've said it before, for me it was just Abramovich and friends, it was like Tenenbaum and Bruce Buck and stuff like that, and it was just like, I just didn't think it was fit for purpose. I quite liked the idea that the new Chelsea ownership were building a board of Chelsea fans on, with the Tottenham fan, Goldstein, is that his name? I forget. But he's meant to be an expert in property development that would lean positively into Chelsea's desire of building a new stadium. It just seemed like they were like, okay, right, they've started again, and they're trying to build from the ground up with, like I said, a fit for purpose foundation. But as these opinions have been stated, it kind of more than ever making sense that they just wanted to cleanse themselves in absolutely every single way of the Abramovich regime. I mean, Bruce Buck wasn't, Chelsea fans didn't like Bruce Buck, especially towards the end, so they were happy to see him go. A lot of fans were divided on Granovskaya, but I think ultimately what happened with Marina is she was like the first lieutenant of Roman, and as more stuff comes out here, it just makes sense that they're like, right, we need to scrub this clean. And clearly they've done a full investigative analysis of what they were buying. I mean, it's due diligence, right? But they came into Chelsea, they were like shocked with the lack of the amount of sporting data that Chelsea used. And they were like, right, well, this is something clearly Chelsea can do a lot better with, and that's great. I endorse that, I subscribe to that personally. But clearly they looked really closely at the books, and then they were like, and they saw problems here. They self-reported financial irregularities, because they were like, look, we don't want this to catch up with us later down the line. We are buying the entity that will be liable to deal with this. Of course, they self-reported to UEFA. UEFA can only look back 3 years anyway, but UEFA were like, okay, thanks for telling us, love you. Here's a fine of 5 million or whatever it was, Chelsea were like, all right, we'll pay that off. No issues, mate. Also, UEFA probably are so burned with their legal experiences and encounters of Manchester City, Man City, and one of their main critiques of Man City, UEFA, that is, that City didn't share their books, they didn't self-report, they just wouldn't tell them, and they were like, oh, show us the books. No, we're not going to show you. Well, that's one of the main reasons why we've been emotionally hurt. And then obviously, when they went to the Court of Arbitration of Sport, it was all thrown out and they couldn't even ban them from their own competition, the Champions League, of which Man City go and win, a few years later. Sorry, there's a leaf blower outside if you can hear that. But hopefully it doesn't affect the video. So anyway, UEFA, Chelsea, no issues. It was like, right, well, we'd pay it off. But the Premier League, like David Ornstein says, Chelsea have they knew the Premier League isn't a 3-year window that they can look back and reflect on. It can go, I think, back indefinitely. So Chelsea have put aside 100 million smackaroos, and this is on top of the transfer budget. So if you're 115 million for Caicedo, 105 for Enzo Fernandez, 62 rising to 88 for Mudryk, and it goes on and on and on, and other players, and just heavy spend. So what I will kind of want to bring it home here and say is, I have a little bit more sympathy for the ownership. Although I've been concerned with a lot of stuff they've done, I've also endorsed a lot as well personally. But yeah, it makes sense. I mean, look, we had such good times in the Abramovich era. We have so much, and this is mindfully stepping away from controversy and geopolitics for the moment, of which I don't know enough behind the scenes to be fully educated. So in a purely isolated sporting opinion, we did so well and enjoyed so much under Roman. And we're football fans, I feel like we've got like, I don't know, we've got to be quite lucid to what's running our football clubs. Like, look, I don't think Roman Abramovich is as bad as a state that's beheading homosexuals and doesn't have human rights. So it's very, very difficult to talk about, my own is not as bad as yours. But the truth is, clearly there was some difficult stuff to navigate with Roman Abramovich, one way or another, whatever your opinions are. And clearly the most problematic one for us right now in terms of leaving an echoes is these financial irregularities. Now, I spoke about it in the previous video. We read about an article from The Guardian. Feel free to go watch it. And look, I do have some more sympathy for the new ownership. Of course, they came in with their eyes open. They knew what they were buying. From the sale, Ornstein says, they put 100 million aside. So they literally bought Chelsea and went, and put those chips to the side and say, look, because we might have to deal with this in a bit. Do you know what I mean? It's over a year later, I think. Yeah, it is over a year later. But that money's per side. That's on ice, bro. So they, I do think clearing the board, just getting everyone gone. Yes, maybe they got rid of too many medical staff. I doubt the medical staff are, been taking payments from Roman, or maybe they have, I don't know. But point being, I kind of understand more than ever why they've cleared the decks. And I'm pleased that they've taken responsibility in preparing for this potentiality. And I'm pleased they're self-reporting financial irregularities to the governing bodies like the Premier League and UEFA. Bam! Also, Kasper Stilsvig. I hope him and big Chris Jurassic is going to start doing bits and making Chelsea a profitable institution, because we were making a loss every ruddy year under Roman. So there's that too. So yeah, maybe a lot of us were wrong about the new ownership group. Of course, we are football fans. It's not our business to really worry about this. I mean, it is my kind of business because A, I'm interested, and B, I'm a Chelsea content creator, therefore I look at the club and what's actually happening. But generally, it's not a fan's business. You just want to see the players that wear your shirt, your crest, and you want to see your team win. Paramount. And we played well of late, but this stuff is all still important. So I put it out to you guys. I always do that, let me know what you think. Comment down below. I'll be very interested in your thoughts, feelings, and opinions. So please do leave those down in the comment section. Thank you for liking and subscribing, and I will see you back here very soon. Peace!